Yesterday, it was announced that Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer, 83 years old, serving on the bench, he's retiring in 6 months. So now the hunt is on, right? We got to find a new Supreme Court justice. A lot of folks on social media have thrown names out, some serious, some not. But one thing is for certain, Fox News is already freaking out about what may happen. They have psyched themselves up with their own conspiracy theories, and now they're panicked about those very same rumors that they themselves have created. But one of them is not so much a rumor they created. It is pretty much well known that President Biden does, or would like to at the very least, put an African-American woman on the U.S. Supreme Court, would be the first one in history. And that probably is where this administration is headed. But Fox is not happy with that either. And yesterday, Tomi Lahren went on the air to talk about how horrifying it would be to have a black woman serving on that Supreme Court. Here's what she said. We know that what Joe Biden does best is placate to the radical element and the radical progressive base of his party that he believes is the majority. I believe that they're actually the minority. But I'm wondering the kind of justice that he would nominate. Now, again, I'm sure it will be, as Guy said, a black woman. You know, he's got a dedication to that. We saw how well that worked out with Kamala Harris, but here's to hoping that he has a better choice in mind for this position. What are you trying to say here, Tomi? Are you trying to say that Kamala Harris's role as vice president is not going well because she's a black woman? Because that seems to be what you're implying here. Oh, he picked a black woman for vice president and look how that's going. Yeah. Whether you meant to or not, that sounds exceptionally racist. Kamala Harris's lagging approval rating, her, inability to really do anything, it has nothing to do with her race, and it has nothing to do with her gender. And of course, the Vice President of the United States doesn't have a whole heck of a lot to do anyway. But of course, he did kind of put her in charge of the whole voting rights thing, and that's gone nowhere, so she hasn't been able to whip up any of the Democrats in the Senate to encourage, the two holdouts, I should say, to get on board with the rest of the party to abolish the filibuster to pass voting rights. So yeah, she's not doing a good job. Again, it has nothing to do with her race or her gender. But that is exactly what Tomi Lahren just implied right here. Oh, and it gets so much dumber too, folks. In addition to being terrified about a black woman being on the Supreme Court, Lahren also thinks that it's time to, quote, take a step back and stop projecting politics on the court. Oh, really? Now? Suddenly now? You're worried about the politicization of the United States Supreme Court? Did you just wake up from like a 50-year coma, Tomi? Or did you just recently learn what the United States Supreme Court is? It's always been a partisan body. We don't want it to be, it shouldn't be, but it is. At least throughout all of my lifetime. Conservative presidents appoint conservative judges. Liberal presidents appoint what they believe are liberal justices. That's what happens. But of course, now that the shoe is on the other foot, you don't want it to be politicized. Why do we have to consider the person's political leanings? Why do we have to look at gender and race and things like that? Because all of those things do play a role in how somebody decides a case. Representation does, in fact, matter. That's why all of this is important. But Tomi Lahren is paid by Fox News to not understand complicated things like that. So she goes on the air, makes stupid statements, and again, either accidentally or intentionally, ends up coming across as exceptionally racist. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our Ring of Fire channel here.